Well, it's us. Big boom. Time for the Buddy Martin Show. MELDON Law Monday on a Monday night with Beard. We're talking ball here, all kinds, especially maybe even some football tonight. Although there's some people who still got good brackets, but we'll talk about that another time. Tell your friends and neighbors the Buddy Martin Show is now about to be on the air. Come and join us. Let's talk some ball tonight. Hope your weekend was good. Stand by.
Time again for Buddy Martin. Call him up and tell him what you're thinking. But be kind because he's doing the best he can.
Better, stronger, faster.
Mama says that alligators are ornery because they got all them teeth but no toothbrush.
Hey, what if the voice calls while you're gone?
Take a message.
Bye.
You ready, champ? I'm ready for this my whole life.
I'm incapable of small talk. But that's why you love me, right?
Kind of intimidating to be in the presence of so many great athletes.
Yes, it's time again for Buddy Martin. Call him up and tell him what you're thinking. But be kind because he's doing the best he can.
Better, stronger, faster.
Mama says that alligators are ornery because they got all them teeth but no toothbrush.
Hey, what if the voice calls while you're gone?
Take a message.
Bye.
You ready, champ? I'm ready for this my whole life.
I'm incapable of small talk. But that's why you love me, right?
Kind of intimidating to be in the presence of so many great athletes.
All right, let's try it again. There he is. Here I am. The Gremlins are already out tonight, but that's the way it is when you're in the high tech business, like me and Shane Matthews. Good evening, Shane. How are you doing, my friend?
Good, buddy. How are you?
Well, I'm like everybody else. I don't have busted brackets because I didn't really do any. That's the best way not to have them. But a lot of remarkable plays and playing. How have you enjoyed March Madness, Shane?
Loved it. Loved it. That's what it's all about, man.
A lot of great moments and great plays, some controversial ones which live on. I suspect the unbelievable no call in the Florida game will live for infamy. Of course, we know what happened on a night when they couldn't get anything right, and the team they were playing got everything right, shot 63%, and made the killer shot from the corner. What was your assessment? A good finish. They got to almost there, just a shot away from advancing to the second round toward what we thought would be Sweet 16. Didn't make it. The controversial no call on the push-off. Take us through that, Shane. Tell me what you saw.
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody thinks it was an offensive foul. I mean, there were a lot of fouls that should have been called. Basketball's hard to officiate, just like football. I feel like you could call holding or something on every play in football as well. But it was a tremendous college basketball game. We came out on the short end. It was heartbreaking. I thought we competed. We played hard. It's just that's part of March Madness. There's a lot of teams that were in our situation that their seasons ended in a rough way. But I thought it was a great year. It was a fun team to watch. And I think Todd Golden has the team headed in the right direction. Now, I don't know who all is going to be on the team next year, but I think people have to have confidence that he'll go out and bring in some good players.
Yeah. So many angles to take on this. Obviously, the controversial call with the no whistle, Todd getting to signal his third ever technical. The same ref has given him two of them. I don't know. I couldn't see it close enough to see what happened, but obviously he had a whistle malfunction. There's one for you. And obviously Todd got upset about it. And my friend today, Randy, said, look, here's the thing about when the refs make a call. They don't just blow the whistle. They give you the hand signals. You can almost tell what the call is. But for some reason or the other, I don't know if this guy didn't give hand signals, but and it was a highly emotional game. You lose your 7'1" guy, hand loading. Everybody was emotional. A team that played its heart out over the stretch looked like they could somehow pull this game out, coming back from 14-13 down, and getting to the end of the game. Then a guy pushing off on him and throwing up one from the corner that hits the rim, bounces 3 times, and goes in. When that happens, Shane, it's just not your night.
No, like I said, there's a lot of plays you can look at throughout the course of any sporting event that determine the outcome. But yeah, we made a great comeback, and Walter hit his shot too quickly. Honestly, that's what I texted a buddy of mine. I was like, he scored too quick. That happens a lot in football.
Mm-hmm.
And but it was a heartbreaking way to lose, and
yeah, it was. It certainly was. Shane Matthews, you hear him every morning, part of it, Matthews. We'll get to this subject in a moment because football is what we're mostly about. But looking forward now, do you have in this Wild and Woolly tournament, I don't know if you like UConn or who you like, how do you see the rest of the 16 playing out, Shane?
Well, UConn's the best team, and I think Houston's the second best team. That doesn't mean they're going to win it. My Final Four, I didn't even have UConn making it because I knew everybody was going to do it. I was going to try to pick something different. So I have Illinois playing North Carolina. Or no, Illinois is playing. I got Illinois, North Carolina, Houston, and Tennessee. And I think I have Tennessee and Houston playing for the national title with Houston winning.
Okay. Let me appeal to my buddies.
I just know my Final Four. I don't know how I'm doing because I can't log back in. I forgot my password.
Oh, don't you hate that? Don't you hate that?
I don't have time to figure all that mess out.
We got so damn many passwords in life as it is.
I use the same password all the time, buddy.
I know, but they make you change it. They make you change it. I had one the other day. My bank said, "Okay, your password is expired." What? Don't make me. I'm just getting it down where I can remember it. Now you make me change that. I mean, life is unbelievable sometimes. But I'm going to be a positive man, Shane. It's not going to be a downer night for me. Life is good. I see some things happening I like. I'm living in a good life, married to a beautiful woman. Just feeling good about my life in general, and love what I'm doing. Listen, I know we talk about this job. We talk about what a pain it is sometimes and things that go wrong with technology. But I love being able to come on here at nighttime and talking to my neighbors, guys like Dan and Toby and and Tommy and Marcus and all these guys that are regulars. And I appreciate that a lot. And I want to make sure I got to be more what they call linear, more intentional about saying things to people that I appreciate. Because, Shane, one day you look up and they're not there. You think, boy, I wish I would have said more. Like I'll just say who it was. Coach Spurrier a couple of weeks ago. We're having a personal talk. And I just said to him, I want to tell you how much your relationship's been to me for all these years. Never mind work, just relationships and being a friend, being able to call up and talk to me. I appreciate his work and what he's done. And it just struck me that sometimes we don't say thank you enough and show our appreciation for the things that we have. This is not guaranteed. You have to show up and do this. So I appreciate life. I'm trying to get better at it, Shane.
Well, I think we all can get better, at the little things here and there. I try to do the same, buddy.
Yeah. Yeah. So, all right. So, here's a little something I'm encouraged about, okay? Keep it on the upbeat. You and I, especially I, have complained about the lack of good press conferences and the lack of content and meaningful comments from Billy. And they've been really very plain banal, as they call them. And don't say anything, don't tell anything, don't reveal anything. And it's just for us, the fans, and we're like the fans, we don't know anything because he hasn't told us anything. Well, I did not have a chance to hear the whole thing, but I heard bits and pieces of it, and I saw some of the things written. Apparently Billy on Saturday did a bit of revealing, talk about some of the things that he likes. And so one thing that struck me was he was asked about the position groups that stood out. I thought we'd get some kind of generic answer that we've been getting, right? He says, I think that the secondary, he named it. Obviously, you got some, whatever, Gates is coming back from injury. You got those young players that have experience, Devin, Sharif Denson, Jordan Castell, Bryce Thornton, all those freshmen that played or they're back. Then you throw in Jason Marshall in the mix, and you had a couple of these portal safeties. You had them. I think that group is making progress. Like, yeah, the offensive line, I like them. I think the height, length on the edges, the moves. We took George, and moved him to the guard, which we knew he would do. Jake got significant experience. We've just got more depth than we've had, and therefore we have competition, and therefore practice is competitive. We can make adjustments. We're either above the line, below each day. Hey, your reps are being adjusted. This is competition. So, there are positions that need to improve. I don't know that's for public. We're just always at this point about the process, the team, et cetera, et cetera. So he obviously likes his offensive line. Now, we won't be able to tell much about that. They start firing blitzes at him, and we'll find out what happens. But that's an upgrade. And they like the center position now. That's a strength. And so I was encouraged that Billy now has begun to reveal a little bit more about what's going on. I don't know if you saw it or what do you think about that, Shane?
That's the first I've heard of that. I've been to 2 practices for a short period of time, and it's hard to make any. I mean, they're going through drills, just a normal spring practice. The vibe does seem a little bit different for whatever reason. I really like our running backs a lot, and I think Graham Mertz is throwing the ball really, really well, like he did last year.
Yeah, and the young freshman superstar is going to get some significant playing time. And he will make his name not the issue. He'll get some action. I'm glad to see that. Lagway, it looks like something really special. We talked about it before. Well, all right, now I want to talk to you about karma. Okay? I think I know what karma is. You know what karma is?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about it. I looked it up to be sure and got a definition. But I wrote a column about it. Karma, the informal definition, is destiny or fate following as effect from cause. There's something highly satisfying when karma strikes in your favor. So, which of the things that happened in recent days were the most righteous or unjust? You got to say, whether you wanted to bash the guy or not, and being honest here now, part of us wants to be a gentleman about it. Part of us are angry about it. Part of us want retribution. But Trevor Etienne getting arrested was a shocker. And remember the guy, he's the guy who left the football team, went to the dark side at a very vulnerable time for Billy and his program, which in of itself, by the way, is not a terrible thing in these days of acceptable greed. Maybe it's not unthinkable, except it's like going over the dark side and feels like it's almost treasonous, like 30 pieces of silver, I wrote. This bit of repetition, Gators star running back Etienne was arrested in Athens early Sunday morning on 4 counts, including DUI. Now, there's a lot into that, not the least of which is Georgia's had a fair number of these this year, these DUIs. I talked to my friend today, my lawyer friend. He told me about the difference in the laws at DUI. in Georgia and the different ones in Florida. But which side are you on? You want to show some class, refrain from gloating, wish him the best. But truthfully, it feels like karma. It feels like it was justifiable. Where do you come off on that?
I mean, I can see how people think that way. I'll be honest, buddy. I have not thought one bit about it. I didn't even know anything about it until somebody texted me this morning. And I mean, it's a shame. I mean, DUIs are scary because you don't know what could happen on the other end. And that's the scary thing. And especially today with all the Ubers out there and the different ways you can get rides, it doesn't, I mean, yeah, it costs money, but it's not a lot. And plus, these guys are making a lot of money. They need to, if they've been drinking, call an Uber.
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously that didn't come into play. And I think in view of the fact that Etienne, look, I know this is how you do it today and all that, but it doesn't have to make me feel any worse or better when my best player goes to my number one competitor because it's best for him. I get it. It's about money, but I don't have to like it. Excuse me. And the Gator fans don't have to either. If they don't want to wish him the best and just say karma, that's okay with me. Because, look, you heard the old saying, he's taking money out of my mouth. In essence, that's kind of what's happening in this regard. Now, we'll see. You know, there's a culture in Georgia which is different. And drinking is more acceptable, apparently. Everybody drinks now these days, it seems like. You did, Coach Spurrier did, or whatever. I'm not saying I did too, by the way. The bottom line is there's a lot of it going on, a lot of DUIs. I don't know how many, somebody's counting. Where's Andy? He'd know. A lot of DUIs there in Georgia. And now, when he changed over to that culture, did something change for him? Because he's still got to prove himself, even though he's a star. So I just think a lot of Gator fans were with me on this who say poetic justice.
Yeah, probably so. You know, I mentioned on my program because this morning a couple people said it about the culture that Billy Napier has. And I said, Billy's a good coach, man. And he's a really good man. Not that Kirby Smart's not, because I think the world of Kirby Smart as well.
Yeah.
But Billy, I can't remember a kid getting in trouble since Billy's been the head coach.
Yeah, was it just 3 years ago or 4 years ago we had the credit card scam when Mullen arrived, remember? Yeah. That whole thing went on. There was a whole bunch of players got suspended and whatever on the credit card. So, yeah. So David Hunter says Etienne was not our best player. I'm glad he didn't hurt anybody or himself for that matter. Honest, not a word about it. Bottom line is that I didn't say he did. I didn't say he was the best player. Some people think he was the best offensive player. I didn't say that. And Georgia thinks they got one of our best players. And here's the thing about it. My friend today told me, he was a very knowledgeable fan, said, you know, Graham Mertz is not all that unhappy because look how many times he got sacked because Etienne couldn't handle the blitz coverage. You know, and so there's a certain amount of truth to that too.
Oh, very. I mean, the eye in the sky don't lie.
Yeah,
he
there you
does
go.
not pass.
There you go. Say it when you miss something. The eye in the sky don't lie. I like
the eye in the sky don't lie.
Don't lie. I mean, I like that. Yeah,
he can't pass block.
Yeah, can't pass block. And Johnson,
if he doesn't pass block for Carson Beck, he will not play.
Well, there you go. Wouldn't that be something? They pay on the slot, whatever. But anyway, I thought that was very all right. Let's do this real quick. Some people did better than others in the brackets. I don't care if you want to talk about them. If you want to brag on yours, feel sure to jump in there and tell us about it. I didn't keep any, so I can't really say. But if you want to brag about it, have at it. Right now, let's hear from Meldon Law on Meldon Law Monday. Jeffrey Meldon, a show where you get asked a lot of questions. I've got one for you right now, okay, regarding how do you know whether your case is being handled right and what to do about it. In medicine, you can get a second opinion if you're not satisfied with the doctor's opinion that they have. And do you have that in law? Can you do that with lawyers?
Yeah, buddy. As a matter of fact, we get quite a few calls from folks that have signed up, particularly with the big box law firms, that they do a hell of a good job of putting ads on TV, but after that, they don't really measure up to the way we try to create a client experience that's outstanding. And we're always willing to review a case and give a second opinion, just like with a doctor, because not all law firms are created equal.
I guess that's the normal thing. Just go to Meldon Law, Google it, and find out, and just give them a call. And like you say, if you come in, you get to see a Meldon. You don't get shuffled off to somebody else. You get to see a Meldon, and that's good to know because a lot of people don't know how to do that stuff, like me. And maybe you can coach us through. So Meldon Law, they won't back down. They will take your questions about your case if you have a question.
Yes, whether it's a new case or an existing case, give us a call. We'd be glad to go over it with you. There's no charge to review your case with you, and a lot of times it makes good sense just to get a second opinion.
Good stuff from Meldon Law. They don't back down, but they will give you a second opinion. All right, thanks very much. Just going over to pick up Rob. I know he's probably feeling better about his brackets than I am about mine. Shane, how did you come out, by the way?
Me?
Yeah.
All my Final Four teams are still alive.
Yeah. That's a good thing. It's a good way of looking at it.
I had 4 major upsets. In the first round, I had Grand Canyon, Sanford, McNeese State, and James Madison. 2 of the 4 outright won. 3 of the 4 covered the spread. So I feel pretty good about that.
Did you see Vandy hired the James Madison coach today?
Oh, did they? He's a really good coach.
Yeah, he is. A lot of good coaches made. All right, let's go talk to Rob Browne of SEC Sidelines, and he'll be doing a lot of with us this fall as well. Maybe going out to Dallas for the SEC. Are you saying you're going to SEC media days?
No.
Good evening there to you, partner. What's up, Rob?
Hey, the brackets, my brackets got hammered. I had Auburn, but also was worried. But I had Oakland to beat Kentucky, and that was good. But I hate seeing an SEC team get beat. But I think I heard y'all talking about Etienne. Golly, the stupid stuff. I'm with Shane. You're a living brain donor in today's world. If you're not smart enough to call an Uber or Lyft, there's no excuse. It's a $10,000 mistake, and he's probably doesn't think like. But I know people that make $3-5 million a year that balk at a $10 lunch. So just a different world. But Shane's right. I question my dad being a $5 lunch. He's 95. Oh, what are you doing? But Shane, playing in the NFL, you had guys that made a ton of money, had no concept, no financial literacy. But, and also what Shane said, both of y'all, I hope nobody was hurt on the other side of it. It's, I got in the car one time with a friend who I didn't realize it, and I put him in a sleeper hold and pulled right over and said, we're taking a cab. Come back, get your car in the morning. But y'all are right about that. But my brackets, I think a lot of our brackets got blown to pieces.
Yeah. Well, you heard us talking about the whole thing with Etienne. Some of our listeners and some of our more learned ones are saying no big deal. David Hunter being one. Etienne was not our best player. I'm glad he didn't hurt anybody and himself. Honestly, not worth talking about. I disagree with you. It's well worth talking about because it's a great example of what the perils are for people who do go in the portal and who do go to other schools when the culture is different. Things can be different. And Shane, you said this 1,000 times. Be careful about going to the portal. You may not come out where you want to be, and you might not have as many jobs. Now, he didn't have a problem. He didn't have to go to the portal. He went right to Georgia. But there are differences in culture, and it can bite you in the butt, and I think it did. Now, I don't wish the kid any bad luck. I know there's some Gator fans who said, hey, it's poetic justice. Left us high and dry, whether you feel that way or not. Rob, where do you come off on that?
Well, hell with him. I'm this portal stuff. I believe in loyalty and, fighting through. I mean, my other career as a financial advisor, 33 years. It's a lot different now than what it was my first 2, 3, 4, 5 years. But anything worth having is worth fighting for. But if you bounce around from school to school, and I talk to coaches, and y'all do a lot more than, me, but I talk to a lot of them off the record, and they say it's just tough to build a culture in today's world. So you go from one school to another, you're an outsider until you start taking some snaps and prove you can do something to help the team. But now he's already he's gonna have to dig himself out of the hole. Sort of he's weak until proven strong at the new school.
All right, let me lay two things on you guys. Shane, start with you. The Calipari issue, what's happening there, what's going to happen. Obviously, there are a lot of unhappy fans losing a game like that, but this is a conference. This is a year when teams can lose to anybody. That, and then let's talk a little bit about Florida's contest. I love that Oakland team, by the way. That was so much fun. I was rooting for them all the way. But Florida had a tough go, and they ran it against Karma and had what I thought was a really good game going, and without hand loading and dedicating the game, and then it just didn't work out. Shane, first, give me your thoughts about Calipari.
Well, it'll be interesting to see what Kentucky decides to do with him. He's got a huge buyout, but I don't think that's a big deal in today's athletics. Somebody brought up on my program, Kentucky may go after Billy Donovan. We'll see.
They've done it in the past, by the way.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised they don't go after Nate Oates at Alabama, but he's still their head coach right now. I don't know when their decision is going to be made or what have you, but they've been a huge disappointment for quite some time now with the talent level, all the, one and doneers that go to the NBA. And I really liked his team this year. I thought it was,
did you have him in your Final Four? I think I might have had him in the Final Four if I was big.
No, all my Final Four teams are still alive. I did not have them. I had them losing actually to the Gators in the Sweet 16 round, but so that part of my bracket screwed up. But it's, with Reed Shepherd and Dillingham, those two are the most talented kids you've ever seen, and they just found ways to lose games. So I know Kentucky fans aren't happy. I'll be anxious to see what happens.
Well, all right. Rob, your thoughts on Calipari?
Well, Kevin Skarbinski was on sidelines this morning with Brendan and me and Franz and Mitch Davis, Tommy Kane. He made some great points. He said, in the first 6 years Calipari was at Kentucky, he went to 5 NCAA tournaments, 1 NIT. His record was 22-4 in the NCAA tournament in that time period, 4 Final Fours and 1 national championship. They had the 38-0 team that did lose. And then in 2020 with the China virus, we didn't have the tournament. Then there have been 7 NCAA tournament appearances. The last 7 Kentucky's been in, Calipari is 10-7. They've lost in the first round 4 of the last 5 times they've played. I worked at Morgan Keegan for 9 years. Jimmy Sexton, Kyle Rote Jr. were on the 5th floor. I was on the 6th floor. Used to see Coach Cal and Horace Grant, Scottie Pippen, those guys coming and going. That was their agent all the time. Nice guy. Daily celebrant at Mass, in fact. Cannot coach in today's world with one and dones. He even admitted it the other night. He said, I think the model that we've been using is broken. Mm-hmm. We got a bunch of 19-year-old kids going against 23 and 24-year-olds.
That's his choice.
That's right. Well, that's his choice. And I think the game's passed him by, like Shane said.
He does have a bunch of old dudes on his team this year, too, though.
Yeah. More than, you're right. This was, yeah.
That kid, number 4, I can't remember his last name, but he's played at like 5 different schools in 5 years. They had some older guys. I think Cal was using some excuses. I believe I guarantee you could ask a lot of coaches in America to have Reed Shepherd and Dillingham and a couple of those other 7-footers. They'll take them in a heartbeat. I don't care if they're 16.
Yeah. I just think I think he's just their fan base. Mitch Davis covers Kentucky closely, who's on our show. they're just done. It's divided their fan base. It's fractured, but I think this buyout is huge. It's not as big as Jimbo Fisher's at A&M, but it's close to it. So that's the only reason they haven't made a move. And hell, if I were them, I'd go offer Jay Wright more money than any coach ever. So
That's
I'd
a
go
good
get.
one.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to switch gears on you now. Francis is going to be here in a second, and I know he's got a lot to say about that. He wrote about it. What happened to Florida in the tournament in their last game? Remember, 8 minutes to play. Todd Golden was assessed a technical foul after arguing the foul call against Gators against Alex Condon on a made layup from Colorado's Eddie Lampkin Jr. Golden's displeasure with the officiating had been building for much of the second half. I purposely got this off another service, and I don't know off of Francis. Can't accuse us of being prejudiced. We'll get Francis' word. Said his team was called for a number of fouls, and he and Florida fans in attendance at Gainbridge Fieldhouse deemed to be questionable. The most dubious whistle came 2 minutes before Golden's technical foul. Colorado's Cody Williams, a projected top 10 pick in the 2024 draft, backed down Gators guard Walter Clayton Jr. and knocked Clayton over before banking in a layup. Clayton was whistled for a foul, but Williams was given the basket despite his getting the shot well up after the contact had been initiated. By the way, then came what Franz calls Whistlegate. You know the story. There was a stop play. Whistle didn't malfunction. Todd Golden said later he didn't know what was going on, although, as my friend Randy says, you can watch the hand signals sometimes. Apparently, he was frustrated because he couldn't get a call. He said something to the official. He already had been sort of heating up as it was. You could tell, been warned a little bit. And so, next thing you know, he's teed up. And he basically says, "What for?" And he said, "Get back in the box." He said, "I am in the box." That's what said he got the foul for. So that was unfortunate. And then, ironically, the guy called a foul on him. Out of his 3 called in his career, Todd Golden, 2 of them the same guy. Sounds a little suspicious there, but that was. And then at the end, to have the Kentucky player, to have the player push off, and then make the rim rattler, to lose in overtime. That was a night when no matter what they did, Florida just wasn't going to win that game. First, Shane, you, and then Rob, and let's get Franz on here.
Well, there were some questionable calls the entire game both ways, in my opinion. Like I said earlier, buddy, it's a heartbreaking loss. It was a fun Gator team. I think they, there's so many teams that are sitting like the Gators are today, wishing they would have won because they had a team they felt like could make a run. And we had our opportunities. Give Colorado credit. They made the plays. I still think we're better in Colorado, but on that day, they were 2 points better.
All right. Rob?
Shane's exactly right. You got to give Colorado credit. But the problem is, athletically, Florida lines up against Colorado, beats them 8 out of 10 times. It's just that one damn time in the tournament that gets you, 102 to 100. But I just think also the officiating. We get into the SEC schedule in early January, and we had that one SEC, ACC weekend, but it's all SEC. So you just get used to the way the SEC refs call the games. We play a much more physical brand of basketball in the SEC, and then you get into the tournament, and they start calling everything. I just think in the SEC we have better athletes playing basketball, but not necessarily better basketball players than a lot of these other leagues that we play against. Same thing with the Big 12. They have 2 teams left, but they were regarded as the number 1 team all year long. You got to be able to do it in March. That's all that matters.
All right. Here's the man of the hour. He's the guy who'll tell you what he thinks. Great writing over the last couple of days by this guy, Franz Beard, and he called it like it was. And Franz, the floor is yours. Explain what happened.
Well, first thing I'm going to say is this. Bert Smith, who let the call go, I've known been watching Bert Smith in this league since 2006. He shouldn't be allowed to ride shotgun on a garbage truck. He is inept.
Well, you don't like his officiating? Is that what you're saying? Okay.
He is inept. And he makes Joe Lindsay look good. And Joe Lindsay is horrendous. Bert Smith makes Joe Lindsay look good. That's how bad he is. So, now, before I say anything, I want to preface it with this. Florida makes one more three-point shot, they win the game. They make another shot from the field, they win the game. They get a defensive stop, they win the game.
They don't get the technical foul, they might win the game too.
The Zebras didn't cost Florida the game. They contributed to it. They did not cost the Gators the game. The Gators lost the game because they didn't make one more shot or get one more stop. That's the reality that we got to live with. And I know a lot of people don't like hearing that, but that's true. Now, what they do like hearing is the fact that the Zebras were bad. On the technical foul, for example, and Lampkin makes a move, gets a layup. 5 seconds later, they're already heading up court. That's when the first signal comes in, and the Zebra says, you watch the replay, he does not have a hand to the mouth, anything close to it. You don't see him pointing to anything. It's after they're already heading up the court that he makes the call. That's why Todd gets upset, says, what do you mean? And one. You didn't make a call. And that's when he says, get back in the box. He says, I'm in the box. Tease him up. Just like that. Should not have happened. And Eric Curry is known, his reputation is, he gets certain people and he just rides them and he does stuff that he's not a competent official. I don't know why he's still getting to call. Kind of like Bert Smith. Why is he still calling games? Why is he allowed? But he's the one that teed him up. It's stuff like that happens. You still have to overcome it, and the Gators didn't. We missed Hand Logden. That was evident early on. Not having him affected the team in a way that rotation was different. You got guys early on, and you could see it. They're letting guys get layups that they would be challenging if you had Hand Logden's 5 fouls in there. Micah and guys were so concerned, particularly in that first half. Oh my gosh, I can't get fouled because just like that, everybody had 2 fouls. Okay.
Yeah, got very nervous. They didn't have those 5 fouls to give Hand Logden to. Let me put you on hold for a second, friends, and let Shane get out of here. I want to tell you about Titan MRI. Shane, who's on the show tomorrow morning? I hear it's a stellar lineup.
Buddy Martin and Graham Hall.
Oh, how about that, man? Good stuff right there. All right, you have any thoughts this week on football that you want to share? What are you looking for? You going to go out there? What are you thinking? What are you seeing?
I may go out later this week. I mean, it's spring practice. Graham Mertz will be the quarterback, and he's throwing the ball real well. I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah. Well, yeah, he's the guy, and they've got a good situation. Well, like I said earlier, and we'll share this information with Franz too. We're hearing more, and Franz wrote about it in his column. We're hearing a lot more out of Billy, and he's revealing some of the things he talked about his Saturday press conference, actually singled out the secondary as a strength of the team. So we'll see. All right, Shane, we'll talk to you tomorrow morning, buddy. All right?
All right, fellas. Y'all have a good night.
The great Shane Matthews will caught up with Matthews. All right? All right, guys. Let me tell you about Titan MRI, and then we'll get back to some hoop, and I'll get some other thoughts. I know you talked this morning, Rob, on your show, and fans on about the ACC's 4 teams. And unfortunately, Greg Sankey's got egg on his face after how he bragged about the SEC, and look what happened. All right, so North Central Florida's newest premier independent diagnostic testing MRI facility is the sponsor of our program, Titan MRI. They're open now, serving the greater Gainesville and North Central Florida area, focused on you, the patient, at all times, having a great customer service experience. They know most people lead a busy life, so they want to accommodate you with within your regular business hours, or if not available, you can make an appointment, evenings or weekends, to be able to meet your scheduling needs. Titan MRI has great equipment, modern, one of the largest bores opening of any of the newer high strength MRI units, and so it makes it a little less claustrophobic for those of you who suffer from that. TitanMRI.com. All right, guys. Let's start with the ACC. Picking up where you on the SEC side. By the way, I heard 5-6 mornings a week now. Got some guy named Brendan on there too, who's on the program, and you guys doing it. If you want some good sports talk, check them out in mornings right here and all over the network. Rob, your thoughts about the ACC? Is it an emergence? Is it like your troops said today? Or do they need this?
Well, we had Tommy Kane on, who was a former manager and walk-on player for NC State, with at the end of Jim Valvano and Les Robinson. He really knows ACC basketball and knows that league. He was on the ACC network for about 8 years, and Fox Sports Southeast, and he's there in Charlotte, right in the middle of all of it. I think Clemson, Brownell's been there 14 years. Their coach, they've stuck with him. And then Duke, North Carolina, no surprise. But you think Clemson, Duke, North Carolina, and then North Carolina State. They win the ACC tournament 5 straight wins, and then 2 more to get to the Sweet 16. And Tommy talked about, look at the irony here. They're in that same bracket. They're on a collision course if they keep winning, and Houston keeps winning, to play Houston, the team that they beat in Albuquerque in 93. You were there, buddy, Franz. But I think the ACC's having fun. And I don't like Commissioner Greg Sankey at all going out and saying we should take away bids from some of the smaller schools, smaller leagues. Horatio Alger is what this tournament is based on, his life, the underdog rising up. Sure, I want Auburn or Florida, these SEC schools, to win, but I don't want there to be sort of a, one system for this group of schools and another one for the other group of schools. I like 363 schools being thrown in the bull ring and let them fight it out, and the best team left is the national champion. You may not have been best all year, but you were best on Monday this year, April 8th, when the fat lady started singing. That's the way it ought to be. And I'm disappointed in the SEC trying to do that. I understand it's all about money, all about the Benjamins. I get that part. But, damn it, it's fun watching, in this case, NC State. They're the only double-digit seed still in the tournament. And that guy Burns, Franz, we talked about it this morning with Kevin and Mitch and you and Tommy. He's a cult figure. That big guy. He looks like he should be playing defensive line. So that's what I love about the tournament. I don't want to change it. I don't want to mess with it. And I don't like what Greg Sankey said. And the SEC, 6 out of 8 teams are already out.
All right, Franz, I want you to answer that, and then you got a couple of questions on the board for people who want to know your opinion. React to what Rob said.
Well, here's one of the things. I heard today. I bet I got 50 texts. Look what the ACC did. Yeah, they got 5 teams in, 4 of them advanced. But they got their 4 good teams, one that's hot, and their other 3 good teams are in. You go beyond that, and the ACC schedule wasn't very tough, wasn't nearly what the Big 12 or SEC teams faced every week. One of the things that's always overlooked is you get into tournament time, and teams, everybody used to talk about how the Big East hadn't won anything in a while. The Big East used to be such a grind that they'd get to the NCAA tournament and they were already worn down. It would take a team with just unbelievable conditioning to get past it. And the first weekend is the toughest weekend. It really is, because you're coming off a situation where you've had your conference tournament, you've had your regular season, which is a grind. You get your conference tournament. Auburn played Auburn played Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 3 nights in a row. Comes in there and plays a Yale team that's very fresh, and Auburn had a bad day. Let's face it, Auburn had a bad day. No excuses for Bruce, and Bruce would not be Bruce. I'll tell you what, the last person you will ever hear make an excuse for his team is Bruce Pearl. They did not compete. And and I hear these people. I hear like the Kentucky people. Oh gosh, Bruce, look what hasn't happened since 2019. Or oh, look at Calipari. Billy Donovan goes to the national championship game in 2000. Okay, the next year he gets to the second round. For the next 4 years after that, he doesn't get past the first weekend. We had Gator fans. We need to get Billy Donovan out of here, get somebody who can get us past that first weekend. Mm-hmm. So what happens in 2006 and 2007? He wins the national championship. And then he had a run of 4 consecutive Final Fours after that, 2011, 12, 13, and 14. So sometimes you just have to bite the bullet a little bit and say, okay, this wasn't our year when we got there. Some of this stuff has to do with matchups as well.
I agree with that.
Look who North Carolina got to open up with in their opening round of the NCAA tournament. They got to play somebody like Wagner's Funkin' Wagner or whoever that is out of Long Island. The Wagner Seahawks. In the first round. Sometimes you get favorable matchups. Florida played 4 straight games, is missing a vital player to their team, and they face a Colorado team that can score on anybody. So sometimes you just don't get the right draw. It's amazing. Kentucky. Anybody who doesn't think John Calipari can coach needs to get a copy of Basketball for Dummies 101 at your local Sam's Club. The guy can coach, and he made a legitimate point the other day. He said, "Look," he says, "I'm going out there with freshmen who are one and dones, sometimes a sophomore, and I'm playing now against 24 and 25-year-old men." Who have been on the same team for 4 years.
Well, he chose to do that. That was his choice.
Yeah. It is true. But as he said, maybe I got to change my ways a bit and change how I approach things.
Yeah.
Because, and that's, that's not a coach who's making excuses. That's a coach who says, look, what we have done, don't blame the kids, blame me for it. You want to blame somebody, blame me.
I think Cal's a heck of a coach.
Kentucky fans are taking him up on it.
Well, sure, I agree. And listen, let me get to this. I want you to answer these questions, but that Basketball for Dummies 101, when you go write that, it'd be great. Put that out there for basketball. That way you answer all the questions. 2 questions.
That would be a great book.
Yeah, exactly, by Franz Beard, Basketball for Dummies. And you can start off by saying, I am one. No, I'm just kidding. Franz, John Jason Bruton says, what happened to our Samford Bulldogs, Franz?
I can tell you what happened to them. They got zebraed. The worst call of the entire tournament. That was as clean a block as you will ever see. A kid who hustled his butt off, makes a play that should go down as a play that made history for Samford, gave them a chance to win an NCAA tournament game against a team that is legendary, Kansas, a team with all this history. And instead, a rotten call. And I haven't seen yet the NCAA say, gee, our guy blew it. Well, yeah, hell yeah, you blew it. And here's the thing that kills me, buddy. These same zebras who blow those calls, they're gonna go on, and they get paid no matter what. Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, these kids from Samford, who played their hearts out, who made an incredible comeback, What do they get to show for a zebra?
That's a tough one. That's a
being
tough
inept?
one. Yeah, I don't know what to tell you.
This is the thing I got to say. We're paying these guys a lot of money. You know, the SEC zebras will make $2,500 to $3,000 a game. Okay, now 18 SEC games, and then the tournament. Let's say you're making $3,000. That's $54,000 plus the tournament, etc. And then you get all the preseason games. A good official in the SEC makes a minimum of $100,000 for working 4 months a year.
It's time for us to get our buddy Don Rutledge on. Talk to him. I was a 6-time Final Four. We'll talk to him. Franz, one more question.
We need a good official like him back. We don't do that to me.
He was the best. David Hunter, our buddy up there in Orange Lake, says, Franz, do you think the Gators would have beat Marquette if they beat Colorado?
Yes. By all means, yes. And Shaka's team is going to get exposed. They're not a team. Shaka's got a really good basketball team.
He seemed to be a little surprised himself they got that far in this interview. But
in fact, I got to tell you something. I would not be surprised in the next, whether they advance or not, sometime in the next 3 weeks, to hear the name Shaka Smart, new head coach, Louisville Cardinals.
Okay. All right, we'll see about that. A lot of things coming up for sure. I want to get to Rob before I tell you about Renstar and ask your opinion about whether the officials are hurting the game. If they are, is it because they're a lower grade? Is there not? There's too inconsistent. Much inconsistency. There's more pressure, and overall, Rob, what kind of? Because Franz has been clear on his opinion about it for 10 years. But do you think something should be done? If so, Rob, what?
Well, the officials have got to be in physical shape to keep up with the speed of the game. These athletes, like in football, are bigger, faster, and stronger. I sound like the preamble opening to the $6 million man, making bigger, faster, stronger. But they are. They're not able to keep up. And I think there's a lot of political maneuvering, and there are a lot of narratives that must be fulfilled. The NCAA, what they did to Samford is shameful. That was disgraceful. Bucky McMillan will have Samford back. Graziano, that small guard they got, a chore. They're really good. But you see, it's like favored nation status in trading. It goes on in officials. But the blue bloods in college basketball are they're in trouble. I mean, look, okay, since 1998, what team has won the most national championships in all of college basketball? You know who it is, friends. UConn. 5. Okay? I think after that, Duke has won 3. North Carolina's won a couple.
They won 3.
Kansas has won they've won a couple at Kansas. And Kentucky's won 1. And Franz, you heard the discussion this morning on SEC Sidelines Sports Network on our morning show about Kevin Skarbinski pointed out Calipari's first 6 seasons at Kentucky. He had 5 NCAA tournament appearances, 1 NIT, 4 Final Fours, a national championship, and then they had the China virus year when everything was shut down. And then the 7 NCAA tournament appearances for Kentucky since then, when they went all one and done, going after that stuff, they are 10-7 in the NCAA, and Kentucky has been kicked out of the tournament. They've been beaten in 4 of their last 5 appearances. Calipari can coach, no question. I watched him firsthand here in Memphis. It was unbelievable. But his model is done. Chasing these kids for 2 or 3, 4 years in high school, and then hopefully the G League doesn't get them. Now with NIL, it's another story. But you're better off going and getting some veteran players and building a culture of guys that are more mature. That's what's going on. Hell, Alabama, Nate Oates, 3 of the last 4 years, been to the Sweet 16. Maybe this is their year. It's going to be fun. But I think the officials, we got to get better people to do it. And damn it, keep the politics and the favored team status that we do. Get rid of it. They're protecting these teams.
All right. When I say Golden Grizzlies, what do you guys think?
I think Oakland.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My favorite story, I think, of the tournament, and Goki. We'll get back to that. At first, I'm going to tell you about Renstar. I want you guys to tell me about your favorite player and team moment in the tournament. I've already given mine away. Clinical trials exist to bring new therapies to the public safely, and clinical trials would not exist without the commitment of volunteers like you and Renstar Medical Research. If you decide to participate in some of the trials, you may receive study-related medications and procedures at no charge to you or your insurance company. You may gain access to new investigational medications or devices that are not otherwise available and receive compensation for your time when you travel. As a research site, Renstar Medical Research is dedicated to the bringing of new opportunities to participate in medical science to our local community. An important part of what that commitment is helping to answer the questions you have about volunteering. If you'd like to know more, go to the website, check out their frequently asked questions, find out how you might get involved in a very good cause. Renstar Medical Research seeking tomorrow's answers to the health questions of today. Golke, wow, what a story. Nobody shoots a ball like that. Well, the greatest shooting performance I've ever seen in the tournament. Came back, he couldn't get it quite. They did the number on him in the second game. But that moment, that time, this guy, and by the way, here's the funny part about it. It took about 3 days for people to realize it wasn't Oakland, California. People were tweeting, well, maybe they'll get to keep their baseball team now. Oakland was an obscure place, and there was one. And that coach has been there 40 years, 40, longest tenured coach. It's a wonderful story. I don't care what Golke said. It was a Cinderella story. They played well. They could have advanced further. That was my favorite story. Yours, Rob?
I like that story. Golke's cool as hell. NC State. I'm a sentimental guy, and I just can't get it out of my head. When NC State is doing what they're doing, winning 5 straight to win the ACC tournament, and now they're in the Sweet 16 as the only double-digit seed. That's my story, along with the crappy, half-ass officiating that's really hurts. Now, look, Auburn and Florida, let's focus on those two. They lost because they weren't good enough when they played. And I'm also, I don't like Bruce Pearl or any coach complaining publicly about where they got to go or whatever. Let the fans do that because it trickles down to your players. And then you got to have self-control from your players and not do stupid things to hurt your team. But, yeah, NC State is my story.
France?
My story, there's 2 guys, and it's in the same game, and they're on opposite teams. My first guy, and he's my favorite guy, is Ryan Irvin. You know who he is? He's the walk-on who got put in the ball game because about 11 guys had fouled out for Houston. I don't know if it was 11. It seemed like it, though.
Or 5 or 6.
And he has to shoot a free throw with the pressure on him. And you watch his teammates. Here is this guy who's a walk-on. And you see how his teammates embrace him when he makes one of those 2 free throws that made it a 4-point game. And what an amazing story there.
It's a great moment. It was.
To see how his teammates loved on that guy. It really was an amazing thing. And as I'm reading, I'm finding out that he is like this glue guy on this Houston team. Everybody, he is the one guy that hasn't a single enemy, that everybody's his buddy on this team. And it's because he knows he's not going to play. So what does he do? He goes out there every day and decides, today I will be the best teammate on my team. What a story. My second favorite guy, is a guy that I remember him at Hamilton Heights Christian School begging me to help him get some Division I offers. Anderson Garcia, who becomes this unlikely hero. Now, great rebounder, but all of a sudden he is asked to shoot. All of a sudden he has to shoot a 3-point shot. Oh my gosh. How many 3-point shots has he taken all year? He took 20 of them all year long, but he made one when it counted there in what undoubtedly is the best basketball game that's been played in this tournament. Texas A&M could have beaten Houston. They make a couple more free throws. Houston perseveres despite all these guys fouling out, and it just made for a tremendous story. And then you look afterward and you watch Buzz and Kelvin Sampson, and I thought they were going to haul off and just run off in a lope or something like that.
Get a room.
That was almost a bromance.
Get a room.
That was almost a bromance moment there. But you could tell the love and respect that they have for each other. And, to me, that game embraced everything that March Madness is supposed to be about.
Yeah.
A team that lost 14 games playing the number one team in the country, probably, everybody figured was going to lose by 10 or 15, down 13 points with 55 seconds to go, and they send it overtime. That's what March Madness is about.
Let's leave it right there on a good note. That's a good way to finish it, and these a feel-good note, and everybody enjoyed the tournament. Look forward to reading more of Franz's stuff. Don't forget, you can go to gatobatemedia.com and sign up, become a member. Franz has been heard all over the map. He's on Rob's show, our show. He's a well-known basketball writer, and, of course, he's the premier columnist for Gatorbait. Rob is now doing 18 shows a week, I think. I'm not sure, something like that.
Oh, we're doing a lot. We love it, though.
Yeah. So
too much is never enough.
If you ever get mixed up as to which show and is which, I'm Buddy, the old guy. He's Rob, the young guy. It's pretty much the same people. But always good. Good job, Rob, on the show. Keep it going. Guys, it's been good as always. On now to new things. I'm going to be watching closely the other things like the Masters in a couple of weeks. I can't wait for that.
Yep.
Then we obviously got a little football going on in Florida. Franz, I think there's a little uptick in things for Billy. We'll see about that. And meanwhile, reach down there and smash that button and subscribe. We need your subscribers, and we do appreciate all that you do, everything, and listening and your sponsors. Guys, Rob, great job. Franz, great job. Talk to you guys later in the week. Thanks.
Thanks for having us.
All right, Rob Browne, Franz Beard, thanks to you. Back tomorrow night with more of the same right here on the Buddy Martin Show.